but dudes written's a product of my shrewd penning. Confused in it, I'm saying I've chewed mics to a crew likes delusions, exuberant mic.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentary. So it's a little weird that I want to talk about Reginald. I'm not going to talk about much else on SmackDown. But there was quite a few things that took place. One, we saw the name change. He's not Reginald anymore. 2, he dropped his French accent, but they did explain why, even though they didn't explain. I don't think they explained why on SmackDown. And 3, for some odd reason, he get into a beef with Cara. It's ridiculous. Let's talk about that first. So apparently Cara goes online and has some words for Reginald about the entrance. Because, you know, Cara for years had to do the entrance where he hopped up on the trampoline and went over the top rope. And it was this big, stupendous entrance. So Cara is like, okay, well, very cool entrances. Let's see if you can do it in bad lighting with no ACL and wearing a mask or something like that. And Reginald responded to him saying, you know, I was doing this for 16 years before I came to WWE. I should be fine. And then Cara was like, look, you know, now it's time to good for you. It's time for you to be a real pro wrestler. And I was just kind of like, what is going on? Why do you care? Like, what is going on? Look, I know that the entrances are the same. There's a trampoline that bounces Reginald in the air and all that kind of stuff. But why would Sin Cara take issue with that? Even if people thought that Reginald's entrance was more cool than Sin Cara, you still shouldn't care. You still shouldn't care. And then, you know, I get it that, you know, it's not going to be perfect every time. That when Sin Cara did his entrance, sometimes he would botch it. Sometimes he would, you know, not fully get over the top rope. And he was like, oh, I had no ACL. I had to wear this mask. It was bad lighting. Yada, yada. It's like, bro, nobody was thinking about you. Nobody was thinking about you whatsoever, bro. What's the problem? Let the young man do his thing. And then, you know, Reginald, you know, smartly responded like, bro, I've been bouncing off trampolines for 16 years. I'll be good. And then his response was, well, now it's time to be a real pro wrestler. Sin Cara, man, where did this come from? Where did this bitterness and this bullshit come from? Why do this? It's completely unnecessary. But that wasn't the only thing when it comes to Reginald. He came on SmackDown to defend the 24/7 championship, which apparently now is, you can cross brands with that belt. Nobody ever told me they could do that before. I know it's 24/7. You could be anywhere, but I thought Reginald was a Raw superstar. I don't think it matters because he's been following Nia Jax around for a little while. So I guess the rules are kind of blended. So he cuts a promo, and his promo is essentially leaning a little bit into his real backstory, which is why I have always been a booster of Reginald. He has a legitimate backstory that is like really fucking cool. Like before he went to Cirque du Soleil, he was like in gangs, so like he was like a hood dude. And that whole going to the circus thing saved his life. It's something that you can almost make a movie out of. It's an incredible story. That's why I've always been a supporter of him, even when they was doing dumb shit with him, like, you know, hypnotizing him and stuff. So he starts talking about being a 24/7 champion and having to look over your shoulder all the time to defend this title. And that's how he's always lived his life anyway. And he's talking normally without the fucking French accent. And he tells the blonde who's holding the microphone, I don't know who she is, that, you know, call me Reggie. Just call me Reggie. And so they've changed everything. In just like 4 days, he went from being Reggie to Reginald, and from Reginald to Reggie rather. And he dropped his accent. R.I.P. Reginald's accent. In any event, Reginald's accent is gone. It's gone bye-bye. So he's announced as Reggie. He does his little bounce thing into the ring. And we're not sure who his opponent is going to be. It's a mystery opponent. So then For the Academy plays. And we think that he's going to be wrestling Otis. And Otis, man, he's getting fucking cool. All right, Otis is getting somewhere near cool. He just looks like a mean bastard. You know, he he does look a lot like Chris Farley, right? But I just keep thinking, like, if Otis was like wear a suit, he would look like the Kingpin from Spider-Man. You know, like if you could like shave his head completely, like the bald spots and stuff. Nah, just shave his head completely and put him in a white suit. And they would never let him have a cigar. But if he was like to get a cigar with a white suit, he would be the Kingpin, and that would be excellent because that's how King Kong Bundy. And I would not be surprised if we asked whoever the creator of the Kingpin is that, you know, did he get the idea for the Kingpin from King Kong Bundy? And I'm not sure if the Kingpin is older than King Kong Bundy or not. Like when I first saw King Kong Bundy in World Class, well, when he was in World Class, not when I first saw him. When he was in World Class, he used to smoke a cigar. He was, I think, well, that's when he first turned heel. When he was hanging out with Gary Hart, he was smoking a cigar, and he didn't wear the white suit, but he was like this big dude. You know, he had hair at the time too, but before he changed his character completely, I guess that's when but he was like 19 or something like that. So I'm not sure if, you know, people kind of saw the cigar and everything, or is the Kingpin based this off like a, you know, generic mobster. But it's still a very cool concept. I love the Kingpin from Spider-Man comics. And I think that would be like a great gimmick for Otis if he wasn't, you know, this, what he is now. But if you get like a white suit on him, and if you can get him to carry a cigar, that might be pretty cool. But I don't think they should do that. I think they should do something else. They're leaning, this whole academy thing leans into his real wrestling background. In any event, everybody thinks he's going to wrestle Otis and get killed. Except for, you know, Otis attacks him. We find out that he's really going to be wrestling Chad Gable. So Reginald and Chad Gable have this match where, again, all of Reginald's matches are essentially attractions where he does tricks. So it's like he a German suplex. Can he land on his feet? And, you know, he's doing flips and he's slipping and flopping and everything. He has almost no offensive maneuvers, you know, like it's a very weird situation for Reginald. Like he doesn't know how to throw a punch. He doesn't know how to throw a kick, at least not a real one anyway. He's not a good grappler. Everything is avoidance. It's all Spider-Man, you know, like except for the punches, you know. So his matches are just completely spots. That's all they are. So they're not really matches. That's what make it so weird. Like for people who are spot monkeys, Reginald is beyond that because he doesn't even build to that. He just goes from spot to spot to spot like it's a legitimate circus thing where they've practiced this all day. You know, that's kind of how it feels. And so he hasn't been properly baptized in the pro wrestling business. But his matches they're spectacular athletic exhibitions. Let's put it like that. They're not wrestling matches though. So while I am a booster of Reginald, I am also going to say he's not a wrestler. So Sin Cara's dig about him being a real professional wrestler is like, I get it because he's not. You know, he's a circus guy. So he's doing, you know, he's not, but he's also not being positioned as being world champion and a world beater. He's, you know, kind of being positioned as a magician, as a Harry Houdini type, you know, similar. I was about to say Crash Holly, but no, he's, you know, avoiding a lot of danger. So the big spot was the German suplex off the top rope, if I remember correctly. I'm not looking at my notes. And he didn't land on his feet, but he kind of rolled through. You know, it was obviously that he wasn't injured. So the match, oddly enough, ends in disqualification because Otis interferes. So now the 24/7 rules are suspended for the matches only. But I don't remember anybody saying that the 24/7 rules were suspended or that 24/7 matches could end in disqualification. Whatever. Anyway, Otis beats up Reginald. He tries to destroy Reginald by throwing him over the top rope. Reginald, you know, like a cat, lands on his feet and escapes Chad Gable and Otis. And then after the show, we get an explanation of why Reginald's accent is gone, which they could have done on TV. What they did, how they explained Reginald not having his accent, was by him saying that he responded to an ad of Carmella looking for a sommelier, and she wanted him to speak French. And since he, had been trained in, I think it's Montreal when he went to learn the circus stuff, he spoke with a French accent because that's what Carmella wanted. And that would have been a fine way to explain it if they'd have done it on TV instead of doing it in a backstage promo. But it seems like they're trying to really lean in more into his real life now, and I guess that really heavy gimmick is off of him now. He doesn't have to do that silly accent anymore. But it's weird, I still like Reginald. I want him to actually learn how to work though, so that he can actually, and actually build a character. Like, we're gonna get to know him. I guess that's the layers of his real life get folded into wrestling. And the more people see him, the more they're gonna be visually impressed by the things that he can do. And his, I guess you could say, style of lucha libre, which is the best way to explain it. If he were in Mexico, there would be nothing wrong with what Reginald does, because lucha libre is a lot of acrobatics. And, but you also needs to be able to grapple and punch at least, and I haven't seen that he could do any of that yet. So they just kind of leaning on to what he can actually do, which is his strength is his acrobatics. And they're actually going to lean into his backstory. So that ought to be interesting too. But the 24/7 title being on him is just another way of him paying his dues, because nobody cares about that belt. And I hate that, that's kind of how it is, because R-Truth can make it so much fun. But until Reginald is in like a serious feud or a serious story, he's just going to be an acrobat. And that's fine for a while because, he's still fairly new. Like, eventually he has to get to a point where he can be a serious competitor with a serious personality and an actual personality. So he's only been on the roster a little bit, probably a year or less. So it hasn't been a lot of time. So we have to get used to him. So it's perfectly fine. I'm okay with what they're doing with Reginald right now as a slow build to him having a real personality, him working real matches, and him doing real stuff that we can actually care about, and not just doing acrobatic exhibitions, with him dodging danger all the time. So whatever. But let me know what you guys think about all this stuff. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, sponsor the channel via Subscribestar or Cash App. Either way, thank you guys for your time, and I'll talk to you guys later.
But just your skin tone, so why attach yourself and piggyback the wealth you didn't earn or lack yourself? I'm telling you to own up to your own success and failures. It's a reason why these sleazy guys